I must admit I have fond memories of the Creative Sound Blaster brand. As a very young boy, my dad brought home a Sound Blaster multimedia upgrade kit for our 486 machine. It came with 2 desktop speakers, a CD-ROM drive, and a sound card. What a glorious thing that was. Nowadays, we take it for granted that a motherboard just has 5.1 surround sound built into it. But you know what? I'm really happy that the Creative Sound Blaster brand has managed to stick around and, more importantly, continued to innovate beyond simply providing good quality sound for everyone. The Creative Stage V2 is an affordable 80-watt soundbar at $110 with separate subwoofer and a technology that they call Clear Dialog for enhancing the vocal tracks. And it's capable of connecting to basically anything. Keep watching to find out what I thought of it and to find out how you could win one for yourself in this week's giveaway. I'm James Bruce and you're watching MUO Reviews. So the design of the Creative Stage V2 is unique in that it's really quite compact, and the box it came in really surprised me. Most soundbars come in at about 1 meter long, but the Creative Stage is short at just 27 inches. The shiny back plastic is a little cheap feeling though, and it loves dust and fingerprints, but mostly that'll be hidden away underneath your monitor or TV. The front is a generic black speaker grill mesh, and there's a hidden LCD underneath the center that shows current input or volume, etc. In terms of input choices, you have a lot on offer, beginning with HDMI ARC, optical, USB for direct digital connection to PC or PS4, Bluetooth 5, and lastly, of course, a generic 3.5mm auxiliary jack for everything else. There's also a wired port for the subwoofer, which itself is an odd slimline shape. Now the good news is that the subwoofer doesn't need additional power because it's not wireless. It just works all through that one cable. If you want wireless audio from something that doesn't support Bluetooth, for instance from the Nintendo Switch, then the BTW3 adapter that's sold separately is an easy plug-and-play way to achieve that. It's a little USB-C dongle that then transmits over aptX, LLHD, standard aptX, or SBC. Just to be clear though, that's not included in the package, but I thought I'd mention it because it's something you might want to pick up alongside when you buy this. Internally, the Creative Stage V2 has a dual 20-watt mid-range driver design. The main soundbar is, as I said, just under 27 inches wide. The wired subwoofer is a very tall and slim design with MDF housing and 5¼ inch 40-watt driver inside. There's a fabric cover on the right-hand side, while the reflex port is situated on the bottom of the front panel. A small LCD screen is hidden away underneath the front grille, but clearly visible when on. And on the right-hand side, you'll find power and volume buttons. However, there doesn't appear to be any way of activating the Clear Dialog feature or virtual surround sound from those buttons on the device itself, so don't lose the included remote control. That's the only way you'll be able to do that. So one of the standout features of the Creative Stage V2 is Clear Dialog. And I don't know if this is an age thing or if it's just because movie producers are really messing with their sound levels too much, but increasingly I have found it harder and harder to hear dialogue in movies and TV shows, to the point that I actually just turn on subtitles for a lot of media now. And as far as I know, I don't have any hearing problems, so I'm just gonna blame the sound producers for that one. If I was asked, is the Clear Dialog just an EQ setting? I don't think so. It doesn't feel like it affects the other mid-range ambient sounds which an EQ setting would mess around with. It seems more like there's an additional processing chip somewhere in there that tries to identify voices in the same way that the virtual surround is another processing chip. Now, speaking of which, it also features a faux surround sound mode, though to be perfectly honest, like any device that features only stereo speakers, surround performance is lackluster. There is simply no way to make sound that emanates from here appear to emanate from behind you. That's not a thing. So the best you can achieve is to emulate and transform the audio in a way that hopefully fools your brain into thinking it's surround sound, but anyone who has an actual surround sound system would be able to tell the difference. It's just not comparable to even the most basic budget surround sound setup. That said, even a budget surround sound setup is 4 or 5 times the price of this. I'm also just not really a fan of these faux surround systems anyway, because they end up making the sound a little bit ethereal to me. One other point worth mentioning is that if you're the sort of person who turns off their devices at the plug instead of using standby, the Creative Stage will forget your settings for EQ and volume, throwing it back to default and 10 volume. Standby doesn't have this issue though, so most of the time I just left it on. For testing, I've mostly been using the Creative Soundstage 2 in the kitchen to watch TV and movies over dinner, and I have to say it's been performing admirably in daily use. I'll also add that I turned on the voice enhance or Clear Dialog feature and I left it on. I did often trying to turn it off, seeing how it was, seeing if I could handle it, notice the difference. I thought maybe I was just fooling myself into thinking it was useful, but nope. Not gonna turn that off again, I'll just leave it on. And that means I've been spoiled now, such I probably won't be able to use another soundbar again without that feature. So thanks, Creative. The remote control is also responsive, though the volume adjustment requires clicking for every level up to 35, and when you watch a lot of older shows which are not balanced correctly, I often find myself having to whack it up or down 20 levels at a moment's notice to avoid blowing my hearing up. If I could add one feature, it would be a custom preset option, perhaps sort of 3 buttons on the remote control, which would save all your current settings for Clear Dialog, surround sound, volume, etc. And then you could recall that all with a single tap. Perhaps a bit too much to ask from a $110 soundbar though. I did run through a selection of audio tests from audiocheck.net and have nothing too unusual to report. However, even with the subwoofer connected, I noticed that some of the low frequency responses seemed inconsistent. It dipped every so often. It wasn't entirely uniform throughout the low spectrum. In reality, you won't notice that obviously, but I thought it was worth mentioning. Overall, the Creative Stage V2 packs an impressive audio punch from such a compact package, helped significantly by the separate subwoofer. That said, the smaller size does affect stereo separation, and if you're sitting 6 feet or more from the screen, this could be an issue. I tried blind testing this, and I wasn't able to confidently say if a stereo sound came from left or right until I'd heard both samples to compare. For placement under desktop monitors and smaller TVs that you're going to be sitting closer to, it's perfect. It has a much better sound than I would expect at that price. However, I wouldn't recommend it for your main big home cinema. At that point, you really should be buying something with actual surround sound. Nor would I use it as my main office speaker for blasting music out. It's really designed for movies and TV. It's a budget soundbar, and the sound isn't going to be stunningly good from 2 mid-range drivers, let's not kid ourselves. But is it better than it should be at that price? Yes, it's better than your TV or monitors that are built in. And for me, the Clear Dialog feature really is a killer addition here, and it may be difficult to go back to anything without it. If you have elderly relatives who have trouble hearing the voices from their TV without whacking it up to full volume, this might be a good early Christmas present. Or maybe you just need better audio for your secondary TV and you don't want to spend hundreds of dollars for something that you're not going to use all the time. This is a good option there. Anyway, thanks for watching. Thanks to Creative for sending this out for review. And to begin with the chance of winning a Creative Soundstage V2 for yourself, head on over to the link in the description or go to makeuseof.com/giveaways. Pop your details into the widget there at the end of the review and you'll be in the draw to win. Use the bonus code, what did he say, for additional entries. Good luck, and be sure to add competitions@makeuseof.com to your address book so my email to you telling you you've won doesn't go to spam. Hit like if this video was helpful and consider subscribing for daily tech news, gadget reviews, giveaways and more from all of us over at makeuseof.com. Until next time.